Now, it's been a dizzying year for the politician, Anambra PDP governorship candidate and former president of Transcorp Hilton Hotels, Valentine Ozigbo. Having been through the devilishly difficult primary process in the middle of last year, in which he had to battle various factions to retain his position as the PDP's candidate in Anambra State, he eventually emerged victorious from that event and went on to contest the governorship election, coming tantalizingly close to the trophy, but ending his run in second place. Compared to the other front-runner candidates, Mr. Ozigbo was seen as a youthful politician. It was his first election run, and by many measures, a very good run indeed, with many of his supporters hoping it would not be the last in what they believed to be a promising political career. Well, now we can exclusively reveal that Mr. Ozigbo, who was seen as one of the rising stars in the PDP, has resigned from the party and has tonight officially joined the P2B movement. So what went wrong for him in the PDP? Having already reached the exalted position of being a governorship candidate in one of the two biggest political parties in Nigeria, what is he aiming to do in the Labour Party? And what happens to his political ambition going forward? Well, to help us understand all that, I'm joined now in the studio by the man himself, the politician, former Anambra PDP governorship candidate, and former president of Transcorp Hilton Hotels, Valentine Ozigbo. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Charles.
Tell us why you've decided to quit the PDP in favor of the P2B movement, and in that process, justify your action to all those in the PDP who supported you when you ran for candidate to be governor and won, people who may now feel that you've let them down.
Thank you, Charles. Let me say this to you. There comes a time in one's life where you actually go beyond self-interest and consider the common good. Nigeria is at the precipice. We almost don't have a country. And I say this because in every single parameter, whether it's the economy, or it's about the security, it's about infrastructure, it is unbelievable what a country we have today. And here we are in the middle of another hotly contested political season. And there are options before us. I want to emphasize more going forward than looking backwards. And I believe my decision to quit PDP is both sentimental, objective, and psychological. I do this in full awareness of what is at stake, knowing that Nigeria has only just one thing giving them hope today, and that's P2B. And if the rest of the youths have suddenly woken up to the consciousness of this is actually our country and we must take it back, if the elders also are speaking, because not just the youths that are speaking, the elders are converging to a man that has basically no structured party, then who am I not to join such and contribute my own quota to see how we can change Nigeria for good? I see a scenario where we are painting a picture of those who are comfortable with the status quo and those who are uncomfortable. I am totally uncomfortable with the status quo. And unfortunately, my former party, PDP, hasn't done well enough to justify my continued stay by what they have done and what I continue to do. And I have tremendous respect for our candidates there. My boss, my leader, Waziri Atiku Abubakar, and I've reached out to him this afternoon, as well as the vice presidential candidate, Governor Kowa, and leadership of the party, say to them, thank you. But for now, I have to join somebody who I feel convinced has the character, the competence, the capacity, the credibility, the compassion to move Nigeria forward. And somebody who goes beyond the sentiments of ethnicity and religion, who is being talked about as the best option for Nigeria. And also somebody who supported me actively. Among any other person, he did a lot to see that I, get to where I got to. And so, out of also reciprocity, it's incumbent on me to make sure I give him my best to ensure that he succeeds. So really, I think I was so fascinated. I had a Zoom call with my team because I usually carry my team along. I had a Zoom call with them, and it was fascinating. They've been waiting for this. As a matter of fact, everybody feels relieved that finally we are on the path for progress.
Right, okay, let me get a few things clarified. You said in your statement, which will be made public tomorrow, that you are formally joining the obedient movement. Presumably that means that you're also joining the Labour Party, with all the limits that have been highlighted with regard to its structures and its reach across Nigeria.
Yeah. Correct. So the point here is, I am, by the grace of God, today unveiling to you on Arise News that I am 100%, in fact 1000% obedient going forward. And Labour Party is a party that hasn't got the type of structure we can all be proud of. However, I can bet you that with what we are now thinking, Labour Party may end up having the best structure before we get into the polls. What people usually consider structure actually end up being human beings. And then when you come to PDP, I'm one of the structure. And now they're inheriting my structure. So suddenly they have structure. And there are many more people, obedient people, including people you'd be shocked that are waiting until the right time to become, clearly and visibly obedient. What I'm saying to you is there's actually a high chance of victory of Labour Party in the presidential election. And when we all now come together, we will deal with the issues, mitigate the issues of weaknesses that we identified, and those can become strengths.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, if you look at the intrigues, that the complications in the other parties, whether it's PDP or APC now, you actually see that they will become more of a liability than an asset.
Right. Now, you mentioned at the outset that you wanted to look forward and not to look back. But I'm afraid I have to look back in order to be able to look forward and for the audience to understand what is going on. Because just looking at your statement and your strident criticism of what you call the old guard politicians, I mean, it sounds like you felt morally compromised as a member of the PDP, because obviously you had to work closely with all those old guard politicians, didn't you?
Obviously. So, for me, I approach everything in life with openness. You always would hear politics is murky waters, filled up with people who you can't deal with and you can't trust, But no, I decided to trust everyone. Work with everyone.
But they gave you an opportunity. You were the governorship candidate and you almost won.
Thankfully, that helped. But over time, you start to see the inconsistency. Quite frankly, I would wish not to delve into a lot of things because that's not the reason for this conversation. Yeah,
but is that inconsistency unique to the PDP or is it unique to Nigerian politics?
It's not unique to PDP. But it's unique to the older parties.
Right.
Where people have entrenched interests. For them, it's not the right thing that matters. It's their self-interest. As long as that is protected, they don't care. So if Charles and Valentine are on the ballot and Charles has made better promises to them, it doesn't matter that Valentine is better than Charles, they will support Charles. And when you do that, we keep moving in circles.
So it's about personal interest.
Personal interest.
Right. Which, of course, is bad for Nigerian politics.
It is. But what I preach is enlightened self-interest, where you know that there could be a middle ground, a common good, where you know that your right ends where mine begins. Because at the end of the day, we need to uplift and move the country forward. Not just about me and me and me. So what I see with the older politicians is just protecting their interests at the detriment of the masses. And this is why the masses are waking up and saying, no, what, this is enough. Enough is enough. And you can't be excited about the future, the prospect of a better Nigeria going forward.
Well, let me ask you this in the context of what you've just said. If you had won the governorship of Anambra State under the PDP, would you still have left the party?
maybe not about leaving the party. Maybe I would have actually been in a position to orchestrate things, so we don't even get where we are today. You know, surprisingly, I found out much later on that part of the reason why some members of the party worked against me in my election was just this. Oh, suddenly they realized that Valentine will not be our leader, and we may not be able to push this our selfish interest. Oh, he might actually push a P2B as a presidential candidate, as against other people they have in mind. And so, no, let's bring him down. So, truly, if I had gone in there, maybe there would have been no P2B in the Labour Party. Maybe there would have been P2B as a candidate of PDP. But at the end of the day, it's not about the party. It's actually about the person and your ability to converge the interests of Nigerians to move forward. So for me, Labour Party, thank God, has provided an avenue. But really, it's about the man P2B, and now he can work with other teams across the governorship, senatorial, House of Reps candidates to see how we can uplift. But let me make this point. How many people are actually party members? Have you actually bothered? Can you do me a favor, do some intelligence here? In Anambra State, if you have 500 persons per ward as a party member, if you're lucky to have 100,000 members as PDP in Anambra, you're lucky. But consider we're 6 million voters in Anambra versus 150,000. So it's not about the party. It's the masses that is important. Party simply gives you the platform, and thank God Labour has given P2B the platform. At the end of the day, it's the masses that will decide. Delegate election is over. It's inconsequential anymore. Now it's a leveled ground, and thank God the masses are already united, and the youths are united, and I'm also seeing the elders coming together and converging around one man.
Right, and you mentioned that politics makes strange bedfellows. I mean, you didn't use those words, but that's pretty much suggesting. Did you, in that context, ever have common cause with the PDP?
Common cause?
Yes.
Say that again.
I mean, did you believe in the same things that they believed in?
Oh, no, as a matter of fact, PDP actually was the best option for me in my governorship race. There's no question about it. You know why? I always listen to the masses. I go to the people to hear their sentiment. In Anambra, there were basically 3 major parties: APC, PDP, and ABGA. And they were at that point tired of what ABGA government was doing. And APC is not an option. When you go to the church, go to the market, go anywhere, ask which party would you prefer? As at that time, you would hear PDP. So I went with the interest of the masses. However, as things unfold, with a lot of sentiments about it is actually fair, justifiable for someone, for instance, from the southeast to be the president, you see that shifting. When that didn't happen, when neither APC nor PDP gave the opportunity, and then suddenly someone, P2B, who has shown consistency in many things, in his character, in his performance, he came. If you ask me today who is the best governor Nigeria has ever produced, I'll tell you P2B straightforward, because I knew where Anambra was before he became governor. I knew, in fact, when I was campaigning, and I would get into the market to campaign for myself, and with P2B and some other leaders around, they will be begging, please, we're going to vote for P2B. Oh, no, he's not the one on the ballot, it is me on the ballot. So just to tell you how popular and acceptable he is to the masses. So P2B became the game changer. If not for him, I don't think we will be discussing Labour Party today.
But some would argue that given that P2B was in 2019 Atiku Abubakar's and the PDP's vice presidential candidate, nothing much has changed with the shift to the Labour Party, because all of you are in bed together. I mean, you were with him in the PDP. Now you're shifting to the Labour Party. You're all in bed, just in a different room this time.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I would say that P2B has learnt the good things from that, arrangement, and not taking that good things to any platform, Labour Party. So, one thing for sure is most of the time, it's not actually the party that is the issue. It's actually the people who are in the party and the process they follow to bring up their, I actually feel that what went wrong in PDP and in APC, the process they usually would go through in getting out their candidates, the primary process. If you allow this in a manner that is free, fair, transparent, where you don't have to you spend so much money to buy people's conscience, and you're able to allow, in fact, listen to what the masses are saying. It's always important that you don't impose people on the masses. Figure out what they are saying. If they had done a bit of analysis, they would have actually, I'm sure a different outcome would have arisen. I think that it's not necessarily the party that is the issue, it's the process that have gone through. And that will take you to who orchestrated the process. And that's where our leadership has a lot to. I shared in my letter. Can you imagine, for instance, that when I went for screening as a senatorial candidate in my party, former party, the shenanigan that happened there, that I had to struggle to be cleared to contest, somebody who has just run for governorship, it tells you that something obviously is wrong. So there's a lot. I just want to spare my leadership in the past. Otherwise...
so you had a lot of complaints.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of issues. And I put them down, and I raised, escalated the issues. And as a matter of fact, you will see that if you have strange bedfellows showing some elements of commonality in some other aspect, you can afford to move on. But when you see that your continued stay can only bring you havoc in mind, then
so this was a long time coming.
Oh yeah,
you were just looking for the right place to birth your new self.
Not only that, I am fascinated that Nigerians are waking up. Usually the fear is, would they allow a good man to progress? Would they allow a good man win? Would they, those fears, I have found the answers, and I know that what Nigerians have done so far, as a matter of fact, I consider P2B a winner already. Nobody in the history of this country, not even in the past, has been able to achieve this level where all of a sudden the youths of Nigeria from across all the geopolitical zones, even in the north, are shouting the name P2B. Without spending, without bribing, this is organic. What is leading to it? We've got to investigate. I think it's not just the effort of that man. I think there is hand of God in what is going on. And who am I not to just simply go with what God is inspiring?
So do you expect a lot of people who supported you in the PDP to move with you?
Of course. What would they expect? For me, I didn't just move. I consulted. I reached out to them. What do you guys think? Look at the circumstance. Here are the options. What do you think? Overwhelmingly, let's go. So certainly, I am not moving alone.
So having quit the PDP in favor of P2B's movement, are you now on Atiku Abubakar's enemies list?
It cannot be. I reached out to him and I made it clear that it's not about him. It's not about his VP pick as well. I actually have tremendous respect for Atiku Abubakar. He has given me a reason to call him my father, my leader. And that respect will remain. And you're not going to see me criticize. Of course, if there's a wrong policy of his, I'm allowed to freely air my view. But I wouldn't go on any personal attack about him. He actually feel that if not for what he has done, first of all, picking P2B as his running mate, P2B probably may not get to where he is today. And more importantly, there's something he said which I was astonished by. When he saw the galvanizing effort, the momentum by the Southeastern to say, wow, on that normal circumstance, for fairness, for equity, for nation building, actually the presidential candidate should actually be coming from the Southeast. What he said was he was ready to, sacrifice his ambition if the PDP would zone to the Southeast. I had a lot of respect for somebody who is ready to sacrifice, but now I have to remind him that that is actually now happening. Perhaps we can still come to a table and agree how to move forward. But anyway, I'm not going to be on his enemy list. He will remain my friend, and I pray that he'll continue to take me as his friend.
Right. So what are you aiming to do in the Labour Party?
I want to help in my own little way. I don't usually like to, overpromise and under-deliver. I would rather under-promise and over-deliver. I want to bring my own little intelligence into what is going on. What are those? I usually like to start by doing a SWOT analysis. Where are the areas of weaknesses and where can we plug? If you say, for instance, there's no structure in Labour, can we actually make Labour a party with the best structure in Nigeria? I think we can. How can we do that? Like I said to you, if you can get a team of people who are passionate, who are selfless, who are committed, and you have them to man the polling units, you have the better structure than those people that are just waiting for your money to devour. And that's what you have in APC and PDP. So I can bet you we have 6 good months doing this, and I'll be busy supporting where necessary. Media-wise, technology-wise, there are a lot of things we can do. And of course, we can help to mobilize funds. One of the things you hear people say, P2B does not give shishi. Some of us give shishi, and we'll be by the side. If he doesn't give, we will give, and complement each other and get the success we're looking for.
What about your considerably large political ambition? What's going to happen to it? I mean, you ran for governor in the PDP, you came second, yes, and then you wanted to run for Senate as well. So
one thing I needed to understand, it was really never about me. I went into politics.
But you do have political ambitions.
Yes, I went into politics for a reason. And what is that reason? Because of my discomfort with status quo. We sit here, Charles, all the time. We meet on the 10th floor and we discuss the problems of Nigeria. And it gets to a point where, what is all this? What is going on? What kind of country is this? How can we continue like this? How did we even get here? Why would things remain like this? I stopped asking those questions to ask, how can I be a solution? How can I change the story? Let me take Anambra and set an example of what government should be. I thank God people believed in me. P2B actually did say that he found somebody who could do as much, if not better than what he did. So that was the reason for going in there. Now, if I can still achieve that objective through Peter, why not? What I need is a better Nigeria. I'm not interested in what I become. I have the little that can feed me and my family. So I'm not ambitious that I will sacrifice my own everything for my personal intention. No. If I don't have to be a governor, I don't have to be president, I don't have to be anything, but let Nigeria be better. That's my focus right now.
Right. So what's been the reaction at the in the PDP amongst the sort of the party apparatchik, if you like, to
Well, I only just put in my resignation and breaking this
People
news
are hearing it. People are hearing it.
Yes, I know that one or two people had, I don't know how they got the news. I saw something on Facebook. So now they're hearing from me. After this, let's review the reactions.
Right. But you're very comfortable with the decision that you've made.
I feel relieved. I feel peace of mind. I honestly think this is the best decision I've taken this year.
We've got less than a minute. What's your message based on that decision? My
message is Nigerians, we should be tired of the status quo. If you really think there's any way of redeeming this country, found a reason, found a hope in P2B. I think the P2B that I know will be the best president Nigeria has ever produced. Let's support him. When the time for campaign, we will marshal out all the things we think he can do and easily. But for now, let me just simply say, is the best option. Let's go and support him. If we do, don't be worried about is he going to win. Do your own bit. Leave the rest, because I know he will win the election.
Okay, on that note, Valentine Ozigbo, I want to thank you very much indeed for joining us. He was, of course, the former Anambra PDP governorship candidate and former president of Transcorp Hilton Hotels, and he has now joined the P2B movement and the Labour Party. Thank you very much indeed.
I'm now
and you heard it first.
I'm obediently useful now.
And you heard it first on Arise News.
Thank you.